Tim Sheehan, and I've been here. I think I started about 1990 roughly. I used to work down the road at the Hacienda before that, and there's quite a few people came down here. So started as casual work and gradually, and I'm now the bookshop manager. I've been for quite a while.
Hacienda?
Yeah. I used to work on the bar and I think 86 to 88 or something like that.
Upstairs?
The main bar, the big bar. Yeah. And
what was Hacienda like then?
Well, actually, I think it had just started to go crazy when I started to go crazy around 87, 88. Yeah, so it was on the full the house nights and stuff, you know. It was kind of strange before then, because although it was busy on a Saturday, it was kind of coach parties from out of town and things. And I used to like the Thursday night best. I think it was a night called Zumba, and they'd do sort of arty things, like they'd have their living paintings on the wall, and they'd have David Mack, I think, an artist, did an installation on the dance floor with tyres, and they had a karaoke. It was a good night, the Thursday night, I think, because you got all the regulars were in there, you know.
Was that a Thursday?
Thursday it was, yeah.
Was that Paul Collins who used to do that?
I think it was, yeah. And they had I think the Hacienda was a bit like a giant youth club, really, because you saw the same, you know, wherever you went in town, you saw the same people there at night, whether you wanted to or not, really. But, you know,
pretty sort of cool and cultured crowd.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah. Okay, a really good mixed bag, actually. That's what made it interesting, particularly around the time of '88, when you got the sort of the mixture of the sort of the gay, high energy crew, fashion students, musicians, and the Scallies all mixed together. And that was probably the best bit, I think. And I came down to Corner House. Seen some fantastic films here over the years.
Anything that sticks out?
I think
as being your favourite?
One of my favourites, well, the one that blew me out most was Tarkovsky, Andrei Rublev, and I think I came in with a bit of a hangover. I was working as an usher at the time, and I just thought it was going to be a sort of typical sort of swords and sand, well, not really sword, you know, like a biblical epic thing. Well, it came out 3 hours later, I just could hardly speak, you know, 1964. When I first saw The Idiots and Festen from the Lars von Trier and the Dogma, they were kind of exceptional. And in recent years, I thought Enter the Void, Gaspar, can't pronounce his name, Gaspar Noé. Thought that was mind-blowing, and I really liked Under the Skin last year. Thought that was fantastic. But I've seen some great stuff, and exhibition-wise, there's been some good stuff,
Jonathan
Glazer, yeah.
Right, okay.
And I thought that was a great film. Favourite film last year, quite easily.
Right, okay, that's pretty cool. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I think exhibition-wise, they had a really good. They had one on Manchester design, which of course was full of sort of Hacienda, Ben Kelly, and that was heaving. That was really good.
Where was that?
It was in the gallery, all three galleries. Sublime, it was called, the exhibition, and it was just basically Manchester music, graphics, and design. That was really good.
So, how would that rate as one of the best exhibitions here?
That would probably be one of my favourites. Recently I liked the David Shrigley one. I thought that was brilliant.
Yeah.
I thought it was accessible. People thought it was funny. Packed the place out. I made a fortune in here, which doesn't often happen. On the back of it, you know. So it was, I'm trying to think. I'll see. So it's been a great place to work, really. I think it's a good. I think Corner House has been greater than the sum of its parts, if you know what I mean, because sort of place where people just go and sit, hang out, people meet here, so it's kind of, although it's exhibitions and cinema, it's more than that, really. It's a kind of hangout sort of meeting place as well, you know. Even back in the day when we used to go to the Hacienda, this was the main bar that we used to meet at to go for a drink, you know. And the interesting thing about that as well is that in those days.
Did this open after the Hacienda?
This opened about 85.
Oh, do you know who was involved in opening it?
I think the original director was Dowie Lewis.
Right.
And
Is he like a hacienda guy?
No. He actually, I think he did a photography publishing firm.
Alright.
But I say the interesting thing was when the bar first opened. That before that, public places, they had to have like frosted glass so you couldn't be seen to be drinking alcohol. So when the Cornhouse Bar, which was the first bar in Manchester that opened, where you could be seen from the outside on the inside, and it was and people said, it's like it's full of posers, and it was like a goldfish bowl. But of course now every bar is like that, every bar and cafe. Yeah, so it's really ahead of its time, I think, for that.
Yeah. And what do you think of the actual design of the interior?
I think it makes a good use of the space. I mean, it's not built for purpose, if you like, because I think it was a carpet warehouse or something like that, or showrooms. Mm-hmm. So obviously,
wasn't it something like a cinema before?
I think Cinema One has always been a cinema. I think it was an adult cinema at one time. And this, I think, was something like it was like a carpet warehouse. Or, and obviously, things that the public don't see is things like the lift and it's an old building, so it's not really built for purpose. It's an awkward shape as well, but I think it's what they've done with it is great, really. Particularly Gallery 3, the top gallery. I think it's a great space. Yeah.
So what's been the worst film you've seen?
Ooh.
So it's the worst thing, or even the worst exhibition. I mean, in the art world, I can't imagine anything being the worst, but
I think perhaps the guiltiest sin is to be a bit bland, and we've had a couple of bland ones up there that I can't even remember. But I remember being unimpressed. I think sometimes when work is very time-based, like I did like a video, and you have to spend the amount of time with it. Actually, I just thought one that I really liked, which was it was East European photography. I thought it was brilliant, really good. It didn't give you anything, but it sort of drew you in, Film-wise, I'm trying to think actually. I saw a really awful low-budget New York one. The genre was called Mumblecore, and it was awful. I can't remember what it was called actually. About 7-8 years ago. I saw another film that really irritated me at the time, but it sort of grew on me, and I was still thinking about it about 10 years later, and that was called Primer. It was a science fiction. It built a time machine, but it was completely full of almost impenetrable scientific jargon. But it was an interesting film. And then once the paradoxes of time travel kicked in, I was really lost. But so I watched it again, and I thought, well, sometimes you don't have to know everything that's going on, and it was kind of interesting. Yeah. And it was interesting to be done. Called? Primer, I think it's called. Yeah. Right. Forgotten the director's name. I saw it in 2, I think. Yeah. Probably I think it was about 10 years ago. And but that was one that, although it bugged me, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and I just decided that I liked it after all.
And what do you think about the actual building closing? Or changing and becoming something else?
I think in life you can't stand still. As I say, this building in some parts of it is falling apart. Cinema One is owned by Railtrack anyway, I think, and they had a hole in the ceiling on one of the platforms. So probably it's a shame in a lot of ways, because it's an iconic building. It's in a great spot, but who's to say down the line the new one won't be just as iconic? I think it'll depend on. At the end of the day, people will be coming in for the product. So if the films are good, the theatre's good, it'll be that should draw people in.
I basically spent 6 months researching everything, reading as much as I could, watching documentaries, looking at photographs, and then I got to meet Steve, and about 4 or 5 days before we started filming, and I suffer from verbal diarrhea, and I basically just kind of spewed forth information about him to him, and he's like, yeah dude, I know, I'm him.
Well, this movie for me is really a love story.
It's an emotional story that you're telling, and I feel like Jane is such a phenomenal woman in her own right. You know, no one knows anything about her, but it was about capturing her essence. And it was about trying to show that complication, that she loved him and celebrated him, but I think sometimes she felt that the kind of support and commitment she had given him hadn't been returned.
Do you have a favorite love story?
One of my favorite, I mean, it's not one of my favorite sort of romances, is probably Annie Hall.
My very own, very extraordinary sort of love story with my wife B, but this one remained the theory of everything love story, and Stephen and Jane's love story, because of the unconventional nature of it, was perhaps it felt very real and unique and massively inspiring.
And all these English boys, it's like it really is the British are coming, the British are
everywhere. I'm like, this is great eye candy. Keep this going.
All the floppy hair.
I know, and this sort of like shyness. It's so endearing.
Has this whole ice bucket challenge hit London?
It has indeed. I've done it.
You have?
I have, yeah. But no, the greatest ice bucket challenge is Stephen's. If you haven't seen that, you should go check that out.
When's the last time you took a selfie?
Well, not a good idea to be doing those, as we've learned.
Yes. You didn't get hacked. Did you get hacked?
No.
Okay.
Luckily, I don't have any naked pictures of myself on my computer. But if I did, I'd be definitely deleting them.
After you survived Les Mis,
Yeah.
and everything that went along with it, you to sing again?
No, I was going to say that the greatest thing about starting to promote this film is not being asked to sing in interviews.
No, people
Don't do it,
actually ask you to
Krista.
sing. No, I would never.
Oh God, endlessly.
Are you going to come back as Black Cat? Do you know what's happening?
I mean, I don't know. I know as much as you. I mean, I'd love to.
How was the experience of doing it?
It was great. It was so, it was so fun to do something where I'm not crying in every scene.
I was finding this material from history, and every so often something would have a particular resonance. I was kind of generally learning and filing, but then there were just moments when things seemed right and seemed pertinent to a particular moment, and the factory work offered me this opportunity to share that idea.
I was already over the hill. But when I found you get over the hill and then you say, oh, there's more hills. Hi, I am Krista Smith and I am sitting here with Jane Fonda and we were going to talk about her movie, This Is Where I Leave You. Let's talk about this part for you. What kind of drew you to it?
Well, you go to the good writing, and the writing was really good, and also, I'm old, and it's unusual to get a really well-written older woman who's feisty and sexy and funny, so I feel blessed that I got a chance to do it.
And how did you like everybody? How did you like that generation?
I just loved it. I came up at a different time, and kind of comedies I did were different. This very fluid, I didn't know what an alt was, okay, Krista? Alt means an alternative line. Well, when you're working with Tina Fey and Jason Bateman, a lot of alts. I mean, there are whole riffs in the movie that just came straight out of Tina's head. And I mean, it was a great script, but they're geniuses at this. And I'm not, but I'll have to say in particular, Adam Driver may not be known to some of your readers, but he, I think, is going to be the #1 male star in America. I mean, Robert De Niro, he is that unusual, a unique, sexy, physical energy that just blows people away.
Here's the thing that I love about Jane Fonda, is your curiosity. You never stop. You have friends you have young friends, your old friends, your partners that you've worked with. What fuels all that curiosity for you?
When I was 49, I left the business, and I thought that I would never come back. I had no intention of coming back, and I met Ted Turner, so I didn't have to work anymore. And after 10 years with him, and he taught me to laugh, and then I wrote my memoirs for 5 years. So at age 65, I came back with Monster-in-Law because I knew that I was a different person and that I could find joy in acting again.
What are we doing working out wise? What is the Fountain of Youth thing that's happening?
I don't really need a trainer, but if a guy's going to show up and you're paying him, it forces you to do it. So I'm basically made of metal. I've had all kinds of things replaced, so I do different kinds of workouts than I used to.
Of all the co-stars you've had throughout your career, is there one that you would really like to work again with?
Robert Redford. I just love him. I just love him. But the only bad thing about Redford is he doesn't like to do love scenes. So the fact that he didn't look forward to love scenes always made me sad. I thought maybe we could have gotten it on, but yeah.
Tell me everything about the new Netflix show you're doing. It's Lily Tomlin, right?
Lily is my co-star. My husband is Martin Sheehan. Her husband is Sam Waterston. And it's a hysterical premise. We don't like each other. Me and Lily are very different characters, and we don't like each other, but we are thrown together because our husbands are law partners, have been for 40 years. And at the very opening of the first episode, we think that they've invited us to dinner because they're going to announce that they're going to retire, we hope. And instead they announce that they've been in love for 20 years and they want to leave us to get married. And so we are thrown together at 70 years old, trying to figure out what is life now.
Do you look back on how Hollywood used to be at all and wish that it was still that way?
Part of it, yeah. But one of the things, Krista, that makes me the saddest is this cult of celebrity now. I'm glad I came up when I did because I never would have made it now. And there's just such scrutiny. And I think that's sad. It's really hard on the young ones, especially the young women coming up.
Redford was in Captain America. I wouldn't mind seeing you in one of those superhero movies.
From your mouth to God's ear. I just hope I'm not alone on a boat with no makeup.
Got that image or that mood with Joy Division's second album, Closer, shows my interest in a photographic dimension of postmodernism. It's a neoclassical image expressed through photography and accompanied by some very ancient typography, I think 2nd century BC. But then
the age at all?
A bunch of cocaine jokes just came through my head, but I'm not going to do any of them.
I'm Krista Smith, and I am sitting down with Jason Bateman, who has his film here, and one that's opening in a couple weeks. This is Where I Leave You. I was very moved by this movie, and you especially. Why did you do the movie?
Well, because you get asked. I mean, we take what we get, most of us actors. There's a couple that actually have some choices to make, but the rest of us just kind of go when we're called. This, however, happened to be one that was actually really, really good script-wise and studio-wise and director, cast. My part is fantastic. You know, I don't get asked to do studio dramas. It's a great opportunity for me.
Mm-hmm. How was Jane Fonda? I love seeing her around.
Having undergone a remarkable transformation over the last decade, Manchester's city centre skyline has changed dramatically. With world-class architecture and strong urban design, the city has a truly metropolis feel. But amid so much change is a key piece in the city centre jigsaw, an area that has managed to preserve its character, charm and uniqueness. Step a few yards away from Market Street down Tib Street and you're entering the Northern Quarter, an area that has become the heartbeat of the city's independent creative scene. It's home to many design agencies and renowned for its bars, boutiques, music, arts, cafes, clothes shops, as well as new urban housing, which makes the Northern Quarter stand out from the crowd. For award-winning photographer Edward Chadwick, the Northern Quarter's vibrant urban space provides plenty of inspiration for his work.
I find the Northern Quarter adds an element of spontaneity to my work. The majority of the shots that I do around here are kind of very much spur of the moment things. They're like little details, little bits of time captured, be that kind of a car outside one of the Northern Quarter bars, just capturing the vibrancy of the area. That's what I try and do around here.
5 years ago, Edward opened a studio in the crafts Arts and Design Centre, giving him the opportunity to be part of an artistic community where jewellery, textiles and fashion and much more is individually produced and sold on the premises. In fact, Oldham Street, at the heart of the Northern Quarter, was once one of Manchester's major shopping areas, but in the 1970s, the Arndale appeared, and the retail focus moved to Market Street. Back in the Northern Quarter, a new alternative culture started to develop, and the area became a haven for a thriving arts scene. With their breathtaking ambition, Manchester's creative and artistic minds flocked to the Northern Quarter to offer a unique experience to the typical British High Street. Simon and his wife Flix decided to move to the area 3 years ago to open their vintage shop, Rags to Bitches.
The Northern Quarter has a very long history of fashion in Manchester because of the fact it's been the garment quarter.
I was living in Dallas, in the suburbs of Dallas, and I started with an agency there, and I think the first job they had me on were these, was for the Dallas Morning News, which is the paper there in Dallas, and I was advertising wrinkle-free slacks. Yeah.
Come a long way.
Yeah, not so glamorous, but yeah, I was pretty excited to get that job though, actually. Oh, my most memorable moments. Well, there's quite a few. Actually, one that's popped in my head. Even though I'm from Texas, I haven't had any experience riding a horse. And on one job, actually, I had to do it. It was, it was going to be very simple, walking on the horse. I mean, the horse walking. And I had one of the girls on the back with me. And somehow the horse takes off down the beach, and we leave the camera crew and everybody behind, and they're like, kind of like don't know what to do. They're all frozen, just staring at us go down the beach. So that was kind of memorable. Yeah, and I made it turn around, come back, couldn't make it stop, made it turn around. We kind of did a come and go with the horse, but that was.
Have you been on a horse since?
No.
They asked what you like to do in your spare time.
A lot of sports. Golf is a big passion right now in the summertime. Like I try to do that as much as I can. I like basketball and football, soccer, and then I don't know. Try to visit my family. Try to travel a little bit when I can and go visit my brother in LA. I don't know. That's about it, actually.
That's enough.
I like the idea of things looking better because I thought they should look better. Not just looking better in order to make people buy them, or in fact to make people buy things that they don't really need. To me, that actually is counterproductive and to some extent kind of denigrates, our understanding of culture and understanding of civilization.